Welcome back to another episode of Modified Rides Podcast. Today I have someone who's been in the game for a minute. So I guess we have Ghetto Bob. Couldn't tell you his last name. Everybody knows him as Ghetto Bob. What's up, Bob?
What's happening, man? How you guys doing today?
Do you even have a last name, or is your last name Bob?
Technically, I have a legal government name, but I haven't used it in over 30 years, so it's not important, No, it's not necessary.
I know when you was texting me earlier, I have my AirPod in and it reads what it is, and it says Ghetto said, and it said what you said. I didn't even know Bob when Siri reads it out. So
yeah, old Siri, she don't like the Bobs.
Yeah. So Bob's out in Vegas. So those who don't know, they're breaking all kinds of records right now. It was 120 the other day. So, I don't know how you got
this morning. It'll probably be another 120 again today, and we like to keep it cool, keep it dry and cool out here.
Yeah, that heat. If any of y'all have never been to Vegas, that heat is different. I'll tell everybody in the summer, it's like you're baking cookies. Open the oven and immediately stick your face down where you open the oven. That's what it's like walking outside over there.
That's the best explanation of it. It's sometimes when you come out of these buildings that are all nice and AC and you don't even think about it, and you open that door and you're just like, man, why am I here? What is the point of living here?
Your eyes immediately dry out,
But it's like anything. I mean, you get used to it, just like anywhere.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I guess let's get started with how did you get the name Ghetto Bob? Was that something you had as a kid, or did it come on later?
It started when I was probably a teenager. Originally, I was Dr. Bob. That was a thing for the ladies, as a 14, 15-year-old man, try to be a doctor and make things happen. And it eventually transferred into ghetto because I made my money in the ghetto. I was a white kid in the ghetto that wasn't scared to be in the ghetto and make my money. So the name just kind of stuck. I was a big car audio guy, still am. Back in that day, everybody referred to big bass as 808. So It's not actually Bob, it's actually Ghetto 808. But it's just transformed and been shortened down to Ghetto Bob. And it has stuck with me for over 35 years now.
So where did you grow up?
In Houston. South side of Houston is where I grew up. I was born in Galveston, and
Gotcha.
Liked to stay in the hood, made money in the hood, worked at King's Flea Market, and it's not a very nice place. That's all I can say about it. I made my money in the hood. Loved it. Hood was always great to me, and ghetto's where I feel comfortable and always have been.
So you've been known for some of your high-end audio stuff over the years. What got you started in the audio world?
Audio world was kind of by accident. When I was a small child, I worked hung out with my great grandfather. He was a cabinet maker, so he taught me how to build cabinets. I used to build cabinets with him as a small kid. So I was always constantly working with wood, cutting angles, doing crazy stuff. When I was about 15, a friend of mine worked at a stereo shop, asked me to build him a box. He wanted a crazy sub enclosure. And back in those days, we're talking late 80s, early 90s. There was no fiberglass. There was no 3D printing. There was no... if you wanted to build it, you had to cut angles and you had to figure out angles and make them all match and work.
Yeah.
So I built him this crazy little box, and he went back to work, and his boss was a pretty big audio freak. And basically he said, "Who built this? I need this kid here. I need him to come work for me, and I need to make him the baddest sucker that I can." And it went from there. It was totally by accident. And he took me in and he taught me a lot of things, and I had the drive and devotion to want to do cooler, better stuff. and I pretty much self-taught and learned everything and figured anything out that I could.
So,
Never have stopped learning.
so you worked at a shop for the first little bit before you started doing your own thing.
Yes, basically part time. Uh, started out doing alarms for a dealership, and that was the greatest thing. I wish I still had that lifestyle, still could do that lifestyle. I was a 15, 16-year-old kid, barely driving around with a box of alarms, and I'd go to the dealership and do the same GM cars every day. Get paid $100 to put an alarm in that I would cut down to 15, 20 minutes a car. It was tons and tons and tons and tons of money as a kid, and that I
Yeah.
developed a hustle and went from one thing to another to what else can I do? What more can I do? How can I make more money and stay busier every day? And it just
So
developed into this.
when did you break off on your own, or did you just work for multiple shops for a while?
I worked for multiple shops as a teenager. Uh, then when I was probably about 18 years old, I decided to do everything for myself, and I would still do different things for different shops. I'd go I'd go to Larry's shop, or I'd go to whatever, bang a box out, do some little easy panels or a couple of different installs, and then I'd go back home to my place and do more. So I was constantly on the hustle and on the grind as a teenager.
Well, you got into doing some I guess big name stuff
Uh
pretty early on, I guess.
huh. Yes. I met some of the guys. I actually met Ryan from West Coast Customs. He was a little bitty hole in the wall airbag shop. We became friends. He was selling his parts, his online parts. This was 97 ish, somewhere around there,
Way before the TV show.
way, way before anything. Uh, we decided, hey, let's do some of this stuff together, and went from an airbag shop to let's do full stuff, let's do full custom stuff, let's get into the professional athletes and the celebrities and the big name clients, and went from mini trucks and hoopties to Bentleys and Ferraris and Mercedes and you name it. uh, so I basically packed my stuff up as a 19-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid, moved from Texas, from Houston to California, and we progressed with West Coast Customs.
How long were you there?
I was there for about 8 years. Um, we built a lot of things. We got kind of big. The TV show came by, and I didn't think that it was a fit for me. I had did some a few different reality TV shows, a couple of the first ones, and saw that it was a nightmare.
What all was you on back then? I remember
Uh,
seeing you on a few of them.
there was a show called Drive Shaft. It was like a competition. It was almost like a game show, but it was you take a whatever it was, a Buick, and turned it into a monster truck. We turned one
Oh
car
yeah,
into a boat. It was a kind of like a spinoff of Monster Garage.
yeah.
So it was ridiculous, silly, stupid shit, but it was fun. It was 7 full days, timed. It was there, 15 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week, back to back, nonstop until it was done. And it was the reality part of the TV show is that one opening scene of somebody, say, pushing a car, there's 15 different versions of that. You're doing it 15, 20 times. It's a 3 hour process for 2 seconds of a car getting pushed in.
TV magic.
It's a lot of extra work, especially when you're on a time. You've got limited amount of time to actually build and make the thing run and drive and fab and whatever it is. That stuff gets pretty irritating. You
Didn't you
know,
do didn't you do overhauling once
I
or
did
something?
overhauling. I did the first two episodes of overhaul, first two or three. Um, same type of thing. It was 24 hours a day for 7 days. Um, it's one of those things. You know what I mean? It's for some people. It's not. It's not the greatest thing in the world. You know, there's so much more involved behind the scenes of filming these shows that
Yeah.
it's a hassle. You know, you're constantly working. It's not a luxurious lifestyle. It's not all glamour, and you know, it's work. It's
Signing
extra work.
autographs and
Yeah, you know, it's work. It's
so
nonstop work.
so when you left West Coast, where'd you wind up after West Coast?
When I left West Coast, I moved to Vegas. I'm here now at Counts Kustoms. I've been here for off and on for 20 something years now. Originally started out renting a building before there was anything here. I got in back with the professional athletes. I was working with another friend of mine that's Pro Motorsports. They've got a couple different franchises. You know, they've got one in Florida, they've got one in Oklahoma, one in Scottsdale. They deal mostly with professional baseball players. So I got into building high-end cars for professional baseball players. I'd live in Scottsdale for spring training for 9, 10 weeks, and it would be the same thing. You know, 20 hours a day, do as much as you can, as fast as you can to get. You know, they're on a limited time.
Yeah.
Um, Traveling all over, you know, dealing with them. Met tons of great people. Loved every bit of it. You know, worked on the high end cars and loved every bit of it. You know, was doing cool shit for cool people that can afford it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. So you said you were renting down there where Counts is now.
uh-huh.
So you were there when Adam and Joe had Musso Motorsports, weren't you?
Correct, correct. Right after when they moved out, I moved
Oh, into their same building?
in the same building for them.
And now you're
I
still back in
and
the
the
Cambridge.
funny thing about that is Adam and Joe were telling me, you know, I waited about a year for them to move out. So like I had planned to move in because they were leaving, and that took about an extra year. So that's when I started, you know, hustling for shops in town and doing all kinds of stuff for other shops in
I didn't
Vegas.
realize your shop was their shop. I thought you were
Yep.
there about the same time.
No, I was there right after them. I worked out of the paint shop until they got out. So it was about 6 months that we were there together, I would say.
What year did they close that down? That was after Katrina's when they got up with Full
I
Circle.
believe it was 2002, 03, somewhere around there. I might be wrong. I'm bad with dates. Everything is just blurred into
Well, I
one
know when
thing right now.
we come out to SEMA in '04. I remember we hung out because they were finishing a truck or something for SEMA. I remember we was
Uh-huh.
hanging out at the shop. So I know they were there in '04.
Right. And I think 04. I think 04 is when I actually did. I think I built a truck in their building, you know, while they were getting preparing to get out. They were finishing out some stuff, so they weren't using the whole thing, and I kind of took over, and I think that's the first year that I was in there.
Yeah. I
One of
know
the one of the first cars that I built in there. I think that was that Lincoln truck, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. The
Yeah.
Blackwood, whatever it was.
I know that year Adam took us through Danny's collection and all that stuff. And this was before I guess the TV show started, and I'm just like, wow, this guy's got a crazy collection.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the
um
TV show didn't start till I think '09.
you were working there at Counts Customs then, weren't you?
I was there. Um, I was there before the TV show. I left right before the TV show, and that's when I was doing a lot in Scottsdale and Oklahoma. So I was traveling back and forth. Then their TV show kind of kicked off, and I got asked to say, hey, please, if you want to come back, we'd love to have you here. We're doing this, and the timing wasn't right. I had too many other things going on. Basically, I was too busy and didn't want to walk away from what I had. Basically, too busy. I had too many things going on to start something new. Because nobody knew anything about the TV show. Nobody knew if it was a couple of episodes. If it nobody had the idea that it was going to turn into what it did.
Yeah.
Nobody predicted. Nobody in a million years, nobody would have said, "Oh yeah, these guys are going to be on TV for the next 13 years with the show running." It was, it was unheard of in that time. Back in that day, TV shows would come out, they'd last a season or two, and then off to the next one. Nobody had any
Yeah.
longevity in it.
It's funny though, you left the shop because you didn't want to deal with the TV stuff, and here you are back dealing with TV stuff.
Exactly. And that's the irony of it, and the circle of it is I didn't want to do it. I did a bunch of TV stuff. Not necessarily hated it, but knew the extra amount of work that it took, and I didn't want to do it. Then I got tired of traveling constantly, and so the whole reason that I came back here was so that I didn't have to travel. I came here to do this TV show because it's all filmed in Vegas, and now I'm back on the road. Doing meet and greets, different events all over the United States, all over the world, to be exact.
Yeah.
And so now I'm back on a full circle of traveling all the time. So all the things that I didn't want to do and said I didn't want to do, I do again. It's like I was forced to do it. It's like I couldn't get away from it. I had to still do all the same things I didn't want to do.
Well, I guess you got to go where the money's at, though.
Yeah, and I don't mind it. I love it. It's our fans are great and wonderful. They're it changes you. When you realize that you're just this crumball dude that builds cars and upholstery and stereo and all this other stuff, and you can touch people that you don't know, have never met, don't know anything about them, never seen them, never even talked to them, and you can affect somebody's life that crazy. It's a wonderful experience, and it's a great thing.
Well, I know that one year that we did the tech article install shoot for your lowering your Sierra. It's like the amount of people that just walk up to the garage door and try to take pictures, and like that baffled me. I mean, I know you see it on TV, but the fact that it becomes a destination and like all day long, there's someone standing at the door that's just there to sightsee. That was crazy.
Yeah, it's we are a tourist destination. I mean, people plan their vacations in Las Vegas to come here and look at the museum for a chance to see us and take pictures in the parking lot. They want to take pictures of our door. It's their the power of TV. It's just emotional. It's I try to explain it to people. People ask about it, and there's no way to explain it. It's you have to see it, and it's just crazy, man. It's still mind blowing. That we're all just crumballs. We're all just the regular, normal crumball people. We're nothing special. We're not supposed to be this way, and it's just magical. The way
it's like that last year that I'd shipped my wheels out there to you to put on the Ram. I know like Ryan walked across the lot and it's like this mob of people following him. I'm like, it's just Ryan. He's a painter. Like, why are you, I guess that's got to be hard trying to work day in, day out.
Yeah. We, unfortunately we hide, we've got trails, back secret alleys here and there. And, it's not that we don't want to, it's just, we don't have enough time in the day. We're working. We've still got deadlines. We've still got things that have to be done. And we would love to hang out with all of our people and spend time, take pictures, whatever. And we do as much as we can. but it's there's not enough time in the day, you know.
So I guess going back a little bit, like
Uh-huh.
we discussed earlier. So you was a negative camber, so that means you've had to build something of your own to for a pretty high caliber to be in that club. What did you build?
I built a 94 S10 in 94. Like I pre-ordered this truck when they changed. That was the year that they changed the body style, and
Yeah.
I pre-ordered it and bought this truck. I didn't know shit about it. You know, I didn't know anything about mini trucking. I liked lower stuff. Uh, started out with 2-inch blocks and lowered springs, and then that wasn't enough, so we started cutting springs and then getting spindles, and uh, it's an addiction just like anybody else. Um, learned how to weld. I didn't know how to weld before that. Basically, as a kid, I took a truck, looked in the magazine, saw different people, went to different shows, started seeing things, and started cutting it up. I'm pretty sure that I ruined it, the truck, but it was all fixable, and you learn. That's how it is. And that's why I tell people all the time is that you don't have to necessarily know everything. You can figure it out, and there's trial and error. And if you've got the devotion and the ambition to want something bad enough, you'll figure out a way to do it. You know. And
How long did you have that truck?
I had that truck probably 4 or 5 years. Um, I built it, painted it black. It was a black truck. Started with shaving doors, then tailgates, then welded the tailgate in, then doing tail lights. I painted it or had it painted black probably 8 times in a matter of 3 or 4 years. You know, uh, kept going more and more. Figure out, oh, bodywork's cracking. Well,
Yeah.
why is it cracking? Oh, because of this. And then talk to some other old hot rod guys, and they would show me different things, and we
Well,
did as much as I could. Airbagged it, then decided to body drop it. Then started doing interior. It just progressed, and that was it was probably one of the greatest times of my life. Being a kid. The
yeah.
friendship, the people that I've made friends as kid. As a 17, 18-year-old kid, they're still friends of mine 35 years later, 40 years later. And I've made so many relationships, met so many different people, uh, furthered my career off of the friendships that I've made.
Yeah.
It's great. Me and Ryan that I work with, that we became friends right after that. 17, 18 years old. Um, he was painting, learning to paint, and wanted to do cool shit. And I was like, let's do it. Whatever you want to do, let's go for it. We'll do it together. And
Do you do you remember the first time you ever did a big audio setup or something and sat back and thought, this is crazy. This is something I can see myself doing. Was there like one particular install that really set it off?
not really. I was fortunate enough to grow up in the days of when everybody wanted big shit. It's coming back now, and I love it, and I try to grow out as much as I can. The stuff that they're doing now is ridiculous compared to what we were doing.
Oh yeah.
If you wanted to do big stuff, you were doing multiple 12, 10 12s, 12 12s, 24 12s, that crazy stuff. Um, nothing compared to what it is now, but it was fun. It
Yeah.
was ridiculous. People thought you were crazy that didn't know about it, and once somebody would stick their head in it and be like, "Man, this is crazy, man. I need something like this." It was an addiction.
the guy that did all my stuff back in the day at the local shop
Uh,
had a round body S10 with the shell and had 1615s and a
yeah,
diamond in the bed and shaved the interior door handle. So once you got in and shut the door, he would turn it up and you couldn't get out because the
he'd lock you
popper was
in.
inside.
Yeah,
So, and that was, they competed, they built a van and did the whole
uh,
spring break nationals in Daytona and all that. So it almost seems that fizzled off, but like you said, it's coming back. You see
right.
more and more of these show vehicles
It,
with
it
crazy audio.
it's coming back. It's coming back a little bit different. You know, everybody wants to be the loudest. So now, if you look at it, and I know that you've seen them, and everybody else has seen them, these vans, these cars, the things that they're doing, they're shit boxes. You know what I mean? They're not
Yep.
anything pretty to look at. They're, it's raw wood, it's Line-X, it's some ugly fur to just hide the shit. Uh, they're creating so much pressure that it's just destroying the cars. And I get that, So why make it pretty
That's what the
when you're
crowd
trying to
wants
do
to
this?
see.
But my biggest thing in the way that I still feel about it is you could still do big stuff. You can make it loud, and you can still make it pretty.
Yeah.
It's still something impressive, and it's just I get it. I get it. You want to be the loudest. You don't care. You know what I mean? You're doing as much steel and concrete and whatever you can in there to keep it from flexing, and these guys are engineers behind it. We want engineers back in the day. It was you had a formula of the proper airspace and power ratio, and you squeezed as much in as you could, and
Yep.
to get it as close as you could, and that was it. It is what it was.
Well, I know Mitchell with Memphis that goes the same with me. We're bringing his truck out this year, and he
Uh,
just threw 4 12-inch Memphis Mojos and a fourth order box and a blow through, and it's
uh,
like you see this big lifted truck, and you don't think nothing about it, and all of a sudden you see the sides of it flex, and you're like, "Where are the subs at?" And it's like
yeah,
the entire bed.
the whole bed. Yeah,
Yep. He's like, I'm not doing that with this truck because his last one he had no bed, couldn't put but like one luggage bag in the back, and he was
uh,
done. He's like, I'm not doing that with this one. Well, he decided to do it with this
yeah.
one once he found out he was
It's
going to
it's one of
SEMA.
those things. I've pretty much every truck that I've ever had, I've cut a hole in the bed. you know, it's it's one of those things. I haven't done that in a while, because it's technology and the equipment has changed.
Yeah.
Everything is styles of time. It's the way of electronics. Every 2 years, it's outdated. So the stuff that a sub from 10 years ago, you had to have a gigantic box and you had to have 1,000 watts on it, and you get a little bit out of it. Now they're doing that with you know a briefcase. The
Yeah.
way that the technology and the
Well,
engineering and all of
with
that
you being
is.
an
Say that again, Brad.
with you being an installer, how do you feel about these new manufacturers having all the integrated head unit stuff that you can't swap everything out? I know they make processors to change everything over, but
Right.
with the OEM stuff being so linked, how do you feel about that as an installer?
It's tough. It takes not anybody can just do an install. Your cousin, homeboy, uncle can't just hook up an amp and speakers for you anymore. Which is yes, it sucks, but 12-year-old kids have the technology and to figure it out now. So it's great. It's great. The technology is advanced, uh, but at the same time, it's killing our youth.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be able to physically do any of this stuff. People
I,
the
you know,
days the days of people having trades, as far as like AC and machinist and mechanics and all that. No, it's dying. This world is in for a real wake up in the next 10, 15 years.
well, with all the crazy stuff you've built over the years, what's the couple that stand out to you as the craziest or most recognized, or the the thing that's like that's a Ghetto Bob build? Like, what is your
Shoot,
top
that's
stuff?
good. That's a good question. There's been so many over the years. I don't play favoritisms to even my stuff. My S10, it made. I don't know if it was the amount of work and custom of it at the time that it stood out so big. I mean, I've had people from all over. There's a kid that owns that truck now. He bought it, shoot, I think about 10 years ago. He used to see it in the magazines as a kid when I owned it. When
Yeah.
it was new and it was going to all the shows, and he was so fascinated and so in love with that truck that he tracked it down 20 years later as a 20-year-old kid himself. Uh, and he owns it, and he started rebuilding it, wanted to change it, and it's just, to me, that's just crazy that that truck became an icon. Because to me it was nothing. It was just
Yeah.
it was fun. It was building it. It was, this is what I want to do, and okay, cool. I'm done with it. So
What
you
about
know,
some of the celebrity stuff that you've done? Is there anything that really stood out?
there's tons of celebrity stuff. I did a lot of stuff for Shaquille O'Neal for a lot of years. I did probably 150 cars for him.
Wow.
There's the Ferrari that I cut the roof off to make him fit in. Tons of stuff, tons of big stuff. He's a big basehead. I a lot of things. I did a older Suburban, one of his first Suburbans that he ever bought. I ended up doing 1212s in it, and that was in early 2000, and things like that. So there's Bentleys. When you've got somebody like that has all the money and wants cars and is into it, and it's free reign to be creative and do whatever the hell you want. You
You
know.
you said you cut the roof off a Ferrari. Is that not
Yeah.
scary?
Well, it was a convertible Ferrari. I had
Okay.
to get rid of the convertible top, pull the gas tank out of the back of it so that I could get the seat back, so I could bolt some low profile seats down to the floor and far enough back so that he could fit in a 355 Spider. It's things like that. Every car that I did for him, I'd always have to move him back. Move him back at least 6 to 10 inches so that he could physically fit in.
And that was, I guess, when you were working with Ryan.
Right, with Ryan at West Coast, yeah.
Ryan, I guess, still does all his stuff, don't he?
I think he still does a little bit here and there. I don't know. I haven't been in contact with them in years, either one of them.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So,
Too busy.
with you currently being at Counts Kustoms now,
Uh-huh.
uh, do you have anything big you're working on? I mean, I know you're personally working on that new Sierra that
Yeah,
we
I
talked
just I
about
bought
the
a
other
new
day.
I bought a new Sierra that I'm supposed to be doing for SEMA. Kind of
I'm
mild, nothing crazy.
I'm partial to those.
Yeah. Um, that's basically the truck that I've bought since 2000, and I keep buying the same truck. If I buy something different, recently I bought a crew cab Dodge 1500 and lowered it on big wheel. Everything's lowered on big wheels, big stereo, and just clean, like a little street truck.
Yeah.
And I bought that Ram, hated it. Not that it was a bad truck or anything. I don't like it. I need to be in a Chevrolet or a GMC crew cab truck. I keep going to it. Every time I buy something different from that, I regret it almost immediately and have it for a year and like, it's time to get rid of it. You know. I've tried Tundras. I built a Tundra a couple of years ago. I did. Uh, Trying to think what else I did. I did a Ford one time. Hated it. It's GM Crew Cab. Since 2000, that's the truck that I've bought, and I've had 26 years of them. And I have to stay in that truck. That's you know I'm telling myself I'm crazy if I buy anything other than a GM crew cab truck.
Now you said this one's going to SEMA this year. Where's it going?
I believe so. I think it is going in Truck Hero. I'm not
Okay.
100% sure. It's not confirmed. It's one of those things that I've been told yes, no, yes, no. I'll know in the next couple of days, and I'll give you an update when I know for what it is. And
Well, I know I guess they're tearing the front lot up or something. So a lot of stuff shuffling around this year and people
yeah,
scrambling.
yeah, they're building onto it. They're adding to the convention center. It's crazy how big that place has changed in the last 4 years. You know how much more they've added and how much more they've changed.
Well, I know the first time I built a vehicle for SEMA was 14, so it's 10 years now.
Uh-huh.
Which of course, I didn't have it in 20, but yeah, this is my ninth placement since
Uh-huh.
14. So I'm sure you've had a million over the
Yeah,
years, but
I've I've been supplying cars and building cars for SEMA since 2000, I believe. I think was the first SEMA that I ever went to.
did you
And
ever think you'd be?
back in those days, I was doing 6, 7, 8 cars for SEMA every year, and then following it up at CES, which is 2 months later, with another 6 or 8 cars. So
Did you ever think 20 years ago that you would be doing this many high end vehicles back to back?
no, I would not. I would not think that it would be possible to do it. Um, it's one of those things that I love it. You know, SEMA's great and it's wonderful. It's been great to me for the last 25 years, along with CES. CES has changed a lot in the last 5, 6 years. It's not the same. CES is not the same. I mean, SEMA's not the same. SEMA has changed a
No.
lot. You know, and that's not. It's not the same show. You know, it's not the same venue anymore. It's involved into a crazy car show more
Yeah.
than a uh, uh, a place to display product and you know, sell their product and physically make manufacturers come out with new shit and get their new product out. You
Is
know,
there
it's
anything that you're building with Counts Customs that you can say you're taking to SEMA this year? Or is it under wrap?
we will have yeah, I'll tell you what it is. It's a 66 Mustang. It will be revealed to our customer in Hertz Compressor's booth first day of SEMA, probably about 1 o'clock. Uh, It'll be, we do that every year. We usually bring one of our cars with one of our big sponsors, and the customer gets the SEMA experience, and
Nice.
gets their car that they've been waiting for.
Well, you had a truck in there. Was it last year? That
Yeah,
white truck?
last year we had a 42 Ford pickup truck.
I remember Adam saying something that you threw the truck on a rotisserie to mold a headliner because those trucks didn't even have a headliner in them.
Correct. Those trucks were the old cloth headliner, and it's not when you're building a high end custom car, you don't want to see seams, you don't want to see screws. That's the biggest thing on me, and it has been since I started. I don't want you to ever see any of my fastening, and that's what I've told people for years and years and years. The day that you see a screw in my holding my one of my installs or my panels in, that's the day that I'll retire. you know, when I'm that old that I can't figure out a way to hide a screw or do a panel that is seamless is the day that I quit. I don't need to do it anymore when I get to that point.
So, what do you see the future hold for Ghetto Bob? Do you have any big plans moving forward? You just can't ride it out as is?
Uh, the future for Ghetto Bob is to ride this out for the next couple of years, keep building cars, and figure out how I can be on a boat in the middle of the ocean and fish every day and relax and enjoy my life. I'm getting old. I started out as a kid, and I'm a 50-year-old man now, and I'm at the point to where it's time to relax and slow down.
Which I guess if your track record follows you, you'll have a TV crew filming you fishing in the ocean at
Well,
that
you never know. That might be there might be something like that. That's there might be a little bit of works on that right now, but who knows?
point.
Who
Nice.
knows?
So tell the listeners how they can find you to keep up with all your shenanigans.
Well,
Like
the
how
biggest, the easiest way to find my shenanigans is countskustoms.com. All on social medias. I'm pretty bad at doing social media. I do have it. It's the real ghetto underscore on Instagram, Facebook. There's Ghetto Bob fan page, and anything with Counts Kustoms is us. You know, we're on there. I'm bad about social media. There's not enough time in a day to do social media.
sounds like you need an assistant.
I do need an assistant. I need a nice, maybe small, skinny blonde brunette that wants to do my social media for me on a daily basis.
Yeah, I don't have any of those in Vegas though, do you?
Nah, they're toothless out here.
Nothing wrong with that. I
No,
mean,
there's nothing. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. It's just, you know, we got them all out here. I'm just teasing there.
Yeah.
There's tons of things like that. It's just I've never been one that wants to take pictures. All these years have hardly any pictures of the stuff that I've done. I'm always ready
Really?
to do it and get out. I've turned and burned. Like I've been bad about that over the years. So with the TV show and being here at Counts, that we have a guy that documents anything and everything all day long, every day.
So you feel you
So
don't need to.
I don't need to anymore. I've got a guy that takes enough pictures that it's never been about that with me. It's my biggest thing is the love of doing it and standing back and looking at it when it's done and being proud of it. I don't need to glorify that and try to preserve that and make the world see it. I'm building it for a customer that it's his dream, and as long as he's happy and it does everything for him, then that's the biggest reward for us.
Yep.
So,
well, I appreciate you coming on, man.
No worries, man. I appreciate it.
Good
That's
to catch
fine.
up with you.
Anytime, man.
I know when I run into you at SEMA or something, it's always having to fight the crowd and all that
Yeah.
to stop you for a minute. So
Hey, more than welcome to do it, man. Anytime you're ready.
cool,
So,
man. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Look for you, man. Thanks, Brandon. Have a good day.